Hello and welcome.
Hey,
It's Paul.
and Jason. We're doing Star Trek now.
We're doing Star Trek.
Yeah.
These are the voyages of the Starship
Pretentious. Not non-pretentious.
not pretentious.
Yes.
Starship Humble.
Ooh.
I think and that's what we might call these, our humble reviews of Star Trek. We can't really do that because that's like a thing. The non-pretentious reviews, maybe.
Yes. Someone comment and if
Unpretentious reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so we're going to be doing all for season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. We're going to be reviewing every single episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully the day that they come out, but we'll see how it works out. But that's the plan for right now.
But today we're doing the short trek, so we
Right.
work the kinks out.
Today, yes, we're going to be reviewing the short treks, and I think maybe at the end, if we feel like it, we might do a little bit of what are our expectations for season 2.
Will we get in trouble if we
looking
show the trailer at the end?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
We can't comment on the trailer?
No.
Way to go, YouTube.
No.
All right.
It's not YouTube, it's CBS.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so we're starting with reviewing the short treks. So we're going to start with, here we go, episode 1 or episode 0. These are technically all episode 0. Either way,
Yeah.
we're starting with the one called Runaway. And this is a Tilly-centric episode.
Love Tilly.
Love Tilly. She's a fan favorite, so it was good to see her get her own
And
episode.
it's funny, just real quick, just if I can just give my thing on Tilly.
Sure.
I hated her immediately when I saw her. And
Really?
I almost brought me to tears when she told me, "Here's something most people don't know about me. I'm going to be a captain someday." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in love with her. That's so great."
Oh, really?
I love it when people are like crazy
Confident like that?
optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like I'm that way. Like,
Well,
I just
and
like
then-
we can do it. We can be the best. We just
Right.
got to do it. And that's how I was raised. I was anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, and especially given what we find out about Tilly in this episode.
Yeah,
That makes it all the more
it makes it
kind of
even more
impressive.
impactful. All right, so we start off.
So we start off and we're in a shuttle bay and we see this hand come out of this cargo crate. I don't know how the crate got there. Doesn't matter. Something coming out of the crate, right?
Yeah. Then we cut to Tilly.
So we cut to Tilly. She's in her quarters and she's talking to her mom on the hologram. Question 1. How do you feel about the Star Trek holograms?
It doesn't bother me. We're not going to go back. It's fine.
I know.
It's like it's post Obama election. There's holograms now.
There's a hologram. Touche.
Yeah.
To me, it feels very Star Warsy, except like you mentioned in color. It doesn't feel super Star Trek-y because we didn't see it a lot in TOS. We saw it a little bit in DS9. I'm not in love with it.
You know what I think about
I'm
people.
not
You know
offended
what
by
I
it.
think about people who are irritated by it is that they're ungrateful for more Star Trek. That's how I feel about it.
Oh, man, you're gonna trigger some people with that comment.
Good, come at me, bro.
You should hear him talk about the starships. Anyway, yeah, I'm more offended by the holographic displays that they use on the computers. That bothers me more than the people.
I hate that it's even a thing.
I just wish they used the view screen more in the bridge. When they get the holograms on the bridge, that bothers me a little bit. But in your quarters,
No, but you know what though?
I'm not
it
worried
all
about it.
pays off when that one ship blows up with the admiral on it or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what's happening? And then he just disappears.
And it just disappears.
That was so dope.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worth it.
I mean, and like I said, it kind of makes sense. Remember, they had the hologram thing on the Defiant.
Yeah.
So, but whatever. Anyway, even though that's like 80 years in the future from here, but no big deal. Anyway, so Tilly is sitting here. She's talking to her mom, who's holograph Skyping and or something like that. And her mom is being awful.
Yeah, kind of mean.
Yeah, really awful. Her mom's telling her story like, "Hey, I know you're trying to do this command program, but you're gonna fail, so you shouldn't even try."
Yeah, and she brings up something shitty that happened when she was a kid.
Yeah, like,
basically amounts to, you remember that time you peed your pants and everybody laughed at you? You know what that happened?
Yeah,
it's awful.
If you enter the command program, you're pee your pants every day, and everyone's gonna laugh.
I hope the Klingons get her mom. Let's go.
Oh, ouch. So anyway, so Tilly's upset, so she starts screaming into a pillow, as one does. I've done it before. So then she decides to go to the mess hall and she orders, what is it, coffee, I think?
Oh yeah, she orders coffee
with extra sugar,
and the computer says precisely what her mother says, which was, you don't need so much caffeine.
You don't need caffeine and sugar. It's late. And she's like, just give me what I want.
And she gives side eye.
She gives a side eye, the best side eye.
Yes, it's
one of the best side eyes
sharp.
I've ever seen.
It's a good look for her. Yeah,
more side eye.
Yeah, more side eye, Tilly.
Yeah. So anyway, so then she's walking around, she's drinking her coffee, and she starts hearing this thing moving around, and it's this alien, right, with her cloaking, but she doesn't know that yet. So she all of a sudden then she notices this strange chemical on the floor, this orange glowing chemical
Yeah.
In true OSHA fashion,
Yeah.
she decides to reach out and touch it with her bare hand.
Yes. That's
Yeah. So she reaches out and touches it with her bare hand. It's like, I wonder what this is.
Yeah. Good thing I have plot armor.
Touche. Yeah. And next thing you know, it's this girl. Her cloaking device turns off. Now, why did she turn her cloaking device off? I don't know. It's clearly not broken. She uses it later.
She's just trying to see. She doesn't view Tilly as a threat because Tilly hides. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
She shows herself because Tilly hides instead of like getting all weird and getting her gun and hunting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an explanation.
That's fair enough. I'll buy it.
So anyway, she introduces herself. Well, first she's speaking a different language, so they don't speak, and all this stuff's going on.
Yeah.
And Tilly scans the blood, right, and with her little tricorder thing, and it says like, "Oh, she's Zahian," right? Mm. And she's like, "Oh, Zahians, you guys just achieved warp capability." Mm-hmm. Right?
So let's just keep in mind that makes them primitives to her.
Yeah.
So as far as Tilly's concerned, this is a primitive species.
Yeah. And the thing also says like, "Hey, 17-year-old." Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you're just a kid." Now, first of all, how do we know 17-year-olds are kids on this planet?
It's true.
I mean, like, what if they only live 22 years?
Yeah, this could be it.
She could be a senior citizen. What if they reverse age like Benjamin Button?
Well, I mean,
and she's actually getting younger.
I guess, but but the aging, like dying from old age, usually means that like your cells are deteriorating or whatever. So she'd have signs of it. Like her hair wouldn't be a single color. There would be parts of her that clearly weren't what it's supposed to be. No, that's why you get your hair changes color. Like, and
you're taking this
wrinkles.
You're taking this way too seriously. I'm being pedantic.
You're right. Sorry, I knew she's 17.
Anyway, she looks like a kid. All that stuff. Anyway, so this girl also went completely nuts and just wrecked the mess hall. And so now she's got food all over, which she still had the cloak on. So now she's got food all over. She goes, "Oh, here's this substance I have no idea what it is on my planet. Just like Tilly, I'm going to reach out with my bare hand, touch it, and then I'm going to eat it."
Well,
I have no idea what it is.
To be fair, she saw Tilly eat something.
She saw Tilly
came out of the thing.
She probably, and they do have warp capabilities.
And
she probably understands.
And she built a translator.
She built a translator when she's 9.
Yeah.
She probably knows.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't know what ice cream is.
Yeah.
So anyway, it turns out it's ice cream is the whole thing. So they start talking, and she says, "Hey, her name is Poe." Actually, she says her name's something really long, but she says, "Hey, just call me Poe," or something like that.
Do we talk about Tilly asserting her dominance?
Oh yeah, with the growl.
She hisses at her.
Yeah. So the girl hisses at her. So Tilly growls. So So Tilly growls at her, which was great.
Yeah.
I just gotta say.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out, and I don't have a picture of it here because I couldn't catch it, but the girl has MIB eyes.
Yeah.
I just want to know that. She has the 2 sets of eyelids. Mm-hmm. She has the horizontal and the vertical. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So anyway. And then, lo and behold, some other crew members finally show up from, because so far up to this point, Tilly looks like she's been completely alone on this ship. Yeah. So, but these other crew members show up, and the entire mess hall is just wrecked.
Well, I like to think that she's alone because she's had so much caffeine. She's not sleeping at normal hours.
That could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I give a lot of credit. I give a lot of rope to things in Star Trek.
Yeah, you do.
It's fine. It's worth. All right.
Anyway, so this crew shows up, and they're like, "Hey, what the hell's going on with the mess hall?" And she goes, "Oh, a space rabbit got loose."
And then,
yeah. So anyway, so the girl hides. She's got her cloaking device on, so clearly it's not broken. But anyway, they go back to Tilly's quarters, and this is when Tilly looks it up and finds out oh shit, this girl's like
a refugee.
Legit. No, not a refugee.
Fugitive.
She's wanted.
Sorry.
So it says classified, strategically critical. Citizen must remain alive and secure. Critical. Repeat. At all costs, Poe must remain alive and secure. So Tilly's like, "Hey, what the hell? Everybody's looking for you."
I forgot to bring up earlier the name Poe. Like thought, immediately when I heard it, I thought, "Oh, I get it because she's invisible and she's a ghost because of Zelda, the pose."
Right.
We looked it up, and it's just a Zelda thing.
That's not a thing. But I kind of wish it was.
It could be a reference, but the Zelda thing could be a reference to Edgar Allan Poe, for the record. But carry on.
It could be.
Yeah.
Honestly, that would have been cool because she has a cloak.
Yeah.
So she's visible.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But it turns out it's not true.
That's not true.
So boo on you.
Yep.
Anyway, so they get to talking, and Poe mentions that apparently her species was born with their planet.
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what that means.
It's real dumb.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know how to say it, but it is super duper dumb.
The scientific advisors fell asleep on this one.
Oh, yeah. And
what does it even mean?
It doesn't mean any. I mean,
her species started evolving as soon as her planet.
Well, Tilly, Tilly even says like, but it would be too hot because of the molten lava. She starts to say it, and then she's like, "Doesn't matter." And that's what I'm going to say about it. It doesn't matter. Okay.
I think it's one of those things like they're primitives. It's their folklore. They got warped too fast.
That could be.
They got warped too fast. Anyway, but the whole thing is, she says, "Hey, my people were born with the planet, and so therefore we're twins."
Oh, you know what? This could be an allegory about like the Great Filter. Like it could be about like, it's a science or sci-fi concept that is like, there could be a Great Filter that doesn't allow for civilizations to arise past certain technology level because they always kill themselves, right? It's an answer to the Fermi paradox, right?
Oh,
yeah. It's like so there's this Great Filter, and that's why we don't see anybody, in our telescopes,
right?
And so maybe they are the species that's so smart that they're not ready for warp, but they get it anyways because they're clever, and they have dilithium on their planet or whatever. Yeah. So
as we find out, they have tons of it. So that's what happens. They're talking about
and that's maybe why she seems so primitive, right? Maybe maybe they're still like they're
just really clever and they had this massive wealth of dilithium,
and they're just super brilliant and they're just not ready for it. I mean, what if we had nukes? What if someone just figured out you could just slam plutonium together in a certain way and make a nuke in like the Middle Ages?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, in this case, it's probably because dilithium is mostly used as fuel. So it'd be like, what if they figured out fission in the Dark Ages, right?
Yeah,
that would have been ridiculous. Right, imagine what would happen there.
That's precisely.
So that could be happening anyway. So this is where they mention like, hey, there's lots of dilithium on the planet. The reason she's wanted is she ran away because she created this incubator that recrystallizes dilithium, and then get into this whole thing about apparently once they figured out dilithium and warp drive and all this stuff, turns out they have tons of dilithium on their planet. And everybody basically, it's an allegory for oil tycoons. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody on her planet became greedy oil tycoons.
Hey, just something I heard this. I want to just give credit to Red Letter Media for pointing this out.
Okay.
But it was really cool. In Star Trek 4, is that the whale one?
Yes.
Okay, the whale one.
Yeah.
Star Trek 4 Free Willy.
Yeah.
Spock mentions that he can do something that is basically recrystallized dilithium.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a neat Easter egg.
Apparently, it's this thing that's really valuable, but also really easy to do with primitive pre-warp technology. So, one of those plot armor devices.
Sure.
Anyway, so she says, hey, I built this incubator to recrystallize dilithium because I'm trying to save my planet. It's my twin sister. I'm trying to save the planet from all the greedy dilithium tycoons that are stripping my planet of all its resources and all this stuff, right? And she was like, and, they don't like me because of that, because I was being extraordinary. And boom, light bulb goes off Tilly. Oh my God, kindred spirits. This girl's just like me. I'm also trying to be extraordinary. And the man being my mom, is keeping me down. And in Poe's case, the man is the greedy oil industry. Yeah. So anyway, so she feels bad for her.
Capitalism most foul.
Yes. So she feels bad for her. And so she says, hey, I'm not going to turn you over to the Federation. I'm going to help you escape. Right. And so they go to the transporter room. Well, she heals her injury. I just want to say, like, the early
I have a complaint. I have to confess I have a complaint about that.
Okay.
I have a complaint about the way that she like went around like the captain and everything and like just shipped this lady off.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And here's why is because I feel like imagine if Picard had done that. Right.
Picard was the captain.
Well, I know, but like even like Geordi.
Imagine Geordi.
Geordi, right? Like I mean, the thing is that you'd want them
Worf or something.
or Worf, especially Worf. I would expect them to say, "Look, you know what I mean."
Or actually, who Tilly's really an allegory of is Wesley Crusher. Imagine if Wesley had done it.
Yeah. I like her more than Wesley, but
yeah, I do too.
I'm just saying, like, if Worf had caught her or something, then it's like, hey, you don't have anything to be afraid of by the Federation. We're your pals, man.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean.
Right.
But then again, I mean, they're making a claim that the Federation might not be as altruistic as they claim.
Well, and the other thing is we don't know what the timeline of this was. What did this episode, does it take place during season 1 when the war is still happening? Is it post season 1? The war is over? Is it pre-season 1?
Yeah.
We have no idea. So, because obviously we see the next episode takes place 1,000 years in the future. So we have no idea the timeline of this episode.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that plays into it, but yeah, I thought the whole thing was kind of weird there too. But again, you're right. We're giving it a lot of rope, especially because these are shorts. These technically, as far as I know, are not in canon. Mm-hmm. These are just like fun little things that they do. So, which gets weird when you see the Saru thing. But, anyway. So, Tilly's like, okay, I'm going to heal your wound with this early thing that we see of our, healing capability or something like that. And which I don't think we ever saw anything like this in TOS, but nonetheless, doesn't matter. And she says, okay, I'm going to help you escape. And so she takes her to the transporter room. And the first thing this Poe does is snort a line of cocaine off the transporter, apparently.
Yeah, she teaches Tilly how to party.
Yeah.
Immediately.
It's just, okay, so she sniffs the transporter.
Yeah,
it's like
they're trying to make her look primitive in the eyes of Tilly.
But they have warp. Like,
I don't know.
We don't have warp, and not once have I ever smelled my computer. It's just not a thing. I just don't understand it. But again, you're right. Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you got it too fast.
I don't know how much money I'm willing to put on a claim that I've never smelled my computer. I don't feel like I have. But
well, okay, I've never done it like that.
Yeah, I don't know that I would see future technology and want to sniff it, to be fair.
What do you think a transporter smells like?
Static.
I hope it's cocaine.
I bet it's so well.
Anyway, so come on. There we go. Yeah, so they're at the transporter. She's like, "Hey, yeah, you can go. I'm gonna let you go back to your planet or whatever like that." And this is when the bombshell drops that she mentioned earlier. Her mother, her father, and her brother were killed. And then this is where she drops the bombshell that, hey, her brother was the king.
Right. And here's what I think. I think that the reason that she thinks that, no one cares about her planet the way she does, and the reason that she's so smart, and the reason that she's the only one who's invented this stuff is because they only educate their aristocracy.
Yeah.
And that's why they killed them all.
That's why they killed them all.
Yeah.
They got too smart.
Tilly's returning a tyrant to them.
You got too smart. You figured out climate change, and we can't have that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so it turns out she's queen, and she says, hey, her coronation is supposed to be tomorrow, and she ran away because she's not ready. She just wants to be one with her planet. And this is when Tilly, we get to the moral of the story. Tilly's like, hey, you wanted to be extraordinary. Be extraordinary. You can be queen. This is a way to save your planet. So go be extraordinary. And, of course, this ties back into Tilly's story. She wants to be in the command program to be a captain. Mm-hmm. So she displays confidence in Poe.
Yeah.
And that helps her find the confidence in herself.
Yeah, wank, wank. All right. So then,
yeah, go ahead.
And then Tilly gets iced by, by what's her? Oh, I forgot. Poe.
Poe.
Yeah. And for all I guess, dilithium isn't toxic to
Apparently
human skin, but
I hope not.
Neat.
I hope not. Yeah.
Here's some radioactive material.
Yeah.
It's neat.
It's just like I'm just putting fuel into your hands as a parting gift. Like imagine like somebody was like, "Here you go, Merry Christmas," and they just like poured gasoline into your hand.
She just got dosed.
Yeah,
she got a dose,
or dropped some plutonium or something like that.
No,
like,
that's what
are
I
you doing?
That's what I meant when you're like a nuclear power plant. Like if you get radiation on you, they call it getting dosed.
Oh, okay, yeah. So anyway, I found that weird, but whatever. It's cute. It's nice, and I think this might be the first time I've ever seen a dilithium crystal.
Yeah, I don't remember them. They might have shown them in that one episode of Voyager whenever the doctor holograms are all mining dilithium.
Oh, okay.
I think they might have shown it then. But anyway.
We may have seen it also in Star Trek 6, right? Because Urapente was a dilithium mine.
No, I don't think we saw any there.
Oh.
Anyway. We saw the caves, but I don't think we saw any like.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were mining, but I could be wrong.
I think you are right, but I don't think we saw like crystals or nothing.
Okay. Well, anyway, so she gives her this thing, and they part ways, having both learned something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And oh look, now Tilly's happy. She's like, I just broke a whole bunch of regulations, and if anybody finds out, I'm in deep trouble, and I'm getting kicked out of the command program.
I look at her here, and I like to think she's thinking to herself, I hope she's not a tyrant. I hope I didn't just take Trump's word for it. He's great.
Yeah,
send him back.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was episode. Well, they didn't really split it up. That was the first short trek. It was called Runway. What did you think overall? Did you like it?
Should we give a grade? Should we give it like a number?
I don't like doing that.
You don't like doing that?
I just like doing I like it or not. Because then you get into like, what's the difference between a 92 and a 90? It's just the whole thing.
I get to define it.
I might say we could give it like an A, B, C, or D.
I'm gonna give it a. It's worthwhile. I would watch it again.
I would watch it again.
I would watch it again.
And
yes.
I like Tilly, so I think it's solid.
You know what we should do?
It's solid for like a C+.
You know what we should do for these? We should
or B minus or B.
We should say would recommend, wouldn't recommend. That's where we should leave.
I would recommend.
I would recommend.
This is a good one.
Yep.
This is a decent one.
No. All right.
Not as good as the next one though, which is Calypso. Arguably, I don't even think it's arguably. I don't think it's up for debate. The best of the 4.
Yeah, it's occurring to me right now that I don't know why it's called that.
Calypso?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't either.
Yeah, Calypso.
Let me Google Calypso. What the hell does that mean? Calypso. Wait, isn't Calypso like
Greek?
Was a nymph in Greek mythology who lived on the island of something.
Yeah.
Where, according to the Odyssey, she detained Odysseus for 7 years.
Is that not? Was there? Yeah, I want to say she might have been in Xena.
Oh, okay.
What was the blonde who had fire powers in Xena, Warrior Princess?
Not once did I ever see that show.
Aw, boo.
Yeah. Oh,
that's the sound
wow.
she made.
Well, we just lost anybody who was watching.
The sound she made. You remember Xena?
No, I literally never watched the show.
Lucy Lawless. She was great.
Oh, I know. I remember it being on. Wasn't it on the same time?
And she became a lesbian. She was like it was like a big thing. Remember
in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
The side character, her girl buddy, they fell in love or something.
But wasn't she on the planet of all women? So wouldn't you?
No.
Oh.
No.
It was just with the women. It was matriarchal.
Nope. She just walked around normal Earth and with her buddy lady and.
Oh, I thought she was from a different planet. Anyway, never saw the show. Wasn't that on at the same time of that other show?
Hercules.
And they did a Hercules. Yeah, they did a crossover.
Yeah, and it was really good at the time.
God, the 90s. What a time to be alive.
Sorry, back to Star Trek.
Back to Star Trek. Anyway, Calypso.
Yeah.
Just preface, the best episode of the 4. Really good episode. So it starts, and we see this guy. He's just rolling through space in this escape pod. He looks like he's pretty close to death.
And naked. So
right.
I guess...
He's got underwear on.
Okay.
So anyway, but he's watching cartoons, old school cartoons, like a Betty Boop cartoon.
Yeah.
And just rolling through space. And then we get what I think is a really good shot. I wish we would see more shots like this in Discovery of the ship. And it's kill me if you want, guys. I like the Discovery. I think it's a good looking ship. A little too big, but I'm willing to forgive it. It's not too big. People are like, oh, it's too big in canon. It's way bigger than the Enterprise and all that stuff.
Here's what I don't
that
like.
doesn't bother me as much. What bothers me is it's too big for A, the way it looks in some shots. And B, they say it only has a crew of like 130 something people. And like the original Enterprise had a crew of like 400 and something, and it's smaller. So it's a little, it doesn't quite make sense that way, but visually I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Well, also, yeah. And but this ship doesn't the top spin or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, which doesn't really like. I don't know. It's because the thing that's weird is like it's.
I like to think it's like a train.
What?
I like it. I like it's a big ship and it's like a train. Like you get on it and it spins and it takes you to another part of the saucer. It's like a sideways turbo lift.
No, it doesn't. Because you see them. That's the whole thing. You see when one of the episodes where it starts to spin, the windows don't move. It's literally just like the plating that spins around.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the internals don't spin.
Oh, okay.
So you stay in place.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
It's like literally just your roof spins.
Oh, okay, that's dumb. Anywho.
And they said it had something to do with the spore drive, but like then when the spore drive happens, the ship spins like around its central axis instead of around the saucer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't like it. It doesn't matter. But otherwise, visually, I love the ship. So anyway. So his shuttle pod gets caught by Discovery tractor beams and pulls him into sickbay, where he wakes up and he's like, I don't know where I am. So he's like starts freaking out, running all over the place. And then we see through what is apparently the computer, Discovery computer's eye, and it sees this tattoo and apparently figures out everything about him based on this tattoo.
Yeah.
So anyway, it says his life signs are at critical levels. And so it's dark when he wakes up in sickbay. So anyway, he starts looking through all these drawers and cabinets, everything in sickbay. He grabs a weapon, and basically not like a phaser, but like this club-looking thing, right? And the computer starts flashing all these lights and moving drawers, and to scare him. Not sure what the point was.
Yeah,
but anyway, then she opens a drawer that has clothes in it, and so he goes, okay. And he takes the clothes. Now, he realizes at some point that all of his injuries, because he apparently had injuries like on his face and stuff, had all been repaired except for this injury on his leg. So he still has this scar on his leg. And he was like, why did you keep that one? And she says something about like, oh, I thought it's an old injury, so I thought it must have sentimental value. And he says, oh, it's an old hunting injury. So anyway, she asks him what his name is. Says his name is Coral. And then she takes him to Mess Hall. And this is where we see he's sitting there. He's eating food. And they start talking. And he's like, hey, where is everybody? And she says, hey, the crew is away. He's like, the crew's away. What are you talking about? Mm. And
then he says, maybe you should come eat with me.
He says, yeah, you should come eat with me. I want to see you.
She's like, oh, that's sweet. You thought I was a person.
Yeah, right. And no, it turns out it's the computer.
Turns out the computer sounds like a lady.
Yeah.
And her name is Zora.
And her name is Zora.
Second Zelda reference.
That's right. What was that? The
fish people.
The fish people. Yeah. What were they called?
Zora.
Oh, I was thinking Zora was like, no, okay. Yeah, you're right. They were called the Zora. Mm-hmm. I was thinking there was like it was like the queen or something was called Zora, but you're right. It was the
Ruto.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so she says, hey, she's the computer. Her name is Zora. He says that his name is Kraft. So I think.
Yeah, we're not quite sure.
I'm also not sure why Discovery has a British accent, but whatever.
I like it.
Yeah. It was a pleasing voice. I like that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so he says his name is Kraft. He's from Alcor 4. She says, hey, I have no record of a human settlement on Alcor 4. And by the way, here's the computer. This is what we see of the computer. Apparently, Discovery's computer is an Amazon Echo Dot. So that's a thing. And it's Alexa in there. That's what's happened.
Yeah, and so he lets us know there's some war going on and
right. He's a reluctant soldier.
Yeah.
Well, and apparently she infers that he stole the enemy's escape pod. And he's like, why would you say I stole the enemy's escape pod?
Naked.
Yeah. Which makes no sense. Like, oh,
maybe he was a prisoner and that's why he was naked.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So then we find out that.
So she realized that he stole the enemy's escape pod because she says, hey, you watched one cartoon 811 times. He said, I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. Right. So anyway, so then this is where she says, oh, I'm all alone here. The crew left.
Yeah.
And he says, how long have you been out here? She says, been out here for 1,000 years. Mm-hmm. And she spent most of the time evolving herself. Right. And he's like, which I'm kind of skeptical on how the ship could survive just drifting out in this nebula by itself for 1,000 years.
I don't know.
That's I don't know. I find that odd. But anyway, so that's what she says. She says, hey, I've been here for 1,000 years, all that stuff. And so he's asking if there's a way for him to get back to his home planet, right? And because he couldn't, it was too far away for his shuttle pod or for his little escape pod. And she says, well, we only have one warp capable shuttle. Because he says like, hey, I noticed you have warp capable shuttles. I could use that to get back. She says, oh, none of them work except one, and it's never been flown before. And so he's like, hey, I have a family. So I think. Yeah, so this is where you see his family. He's got this little picture of him. Mm-hmm. That's his wife and his little baby. And he says, hey, I've been away from home for 10 years. And so he's like, the baby was less than a year old now. He'd be like 11 years old now. So that's how we know he's been away from home for 10 years. And he's like, I really want to get back home to my family. She says, hey, I can't abandon my orders.
Yeah.
The crew told me to stay here.
Yes.
Which, why would the crew abandon ship and then tell the ship to stay there?
Maybe we find out in like a time travel episode of the season. That'd be neat. I hope they do that.
I don't think because this, yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. Yeah. If they did a time travel episode, yeah. I don't know. I feel like we're not going to come back to this at all.
And then we get a montage of her being nice to him, and them getting to know each other, and then they show.
Yeah.
And then they.
So this is a montage,
and I liked that. I liked it too. I liked them showing all the different versions of him at different times. That was cool.
Yeah. No, I like that too. I thought that was really interesting. The way they spliced that together, because obviously we're just looking at still here, but in the video you could see like him doing different activities, right? He's like boxing in the background and working out and all that stuff, and he's eating waffles. He's like, what are these? And she's like, oh, those are waffles, and you put the syrup on them, right? And he's like, okay. And then we see him playing chess, and then she goes, hey, we see this cut one day. It's like, it's Taco Tuesday. And he's like,
what's a Tuesday?
He's like, well, first he's like, what's a taco? She's like, oh, it's
yeah.
this, some kind of ridiculous scientific description of it, right? And then he's like, okay, what's a Tuesday? Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out, like, she hid it under a sombrero.
I like that.
Yeah, that was the thing.
It's one of my favorite Simpsons jokes. He says, I'll have the most expensive thing stuffed with the second most expensive thing. He says, very good, sir. Lobsters stuffed with tacos. And then it cuts to them having eaten it, and the lobster is like, has a sombrero on it. It's really cute.
The lobster has a mini sombrero on it?
Yeah, because it's got stuffed with tacos.
Okay, so anyway. So he's been here for a while. We don't know how long, but he's been here for a while. And they're getting to know each other. And then one day he stumbles into the bridge, or he goes to the bridge.
No. He asks. He supposedly asks to take me to the bridge.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right. Yeah. He specifically asked to take her to the bridge. So she takes him to the bridge. He sits down, and she starts playing this movie, which is some old movie with Audrey Hepburn. I don't know what movie it is, but it looks like it's Audrey Hepburn. Anyway.
Looks great.
Maybe it's called Funny Face?
No.
Fancy Face?
No.
Anyway, so she starts showing this old movie of these two people dancing. He's like, oh, that's really nice.
And it's really romantic and sweet.
It's really sweet. It is really sweet.
And then she sings.
Not in key. I feel like a computer should be able to sing in key. That's me.
I think it's a nice human touch. She's just trying to be human. She wants to make a friend.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. I do think she was what's the word? Anthropomorphizing herself.
Yeah.
For him. And that's fair. But at the same time, I'm also like, hey, she wasn't this way when the crew left.
It's in 1,000 years.
Because she spent that time evolving herself. So how does she know how to anthropomorphize herself?
She has all the records of human history. To
be fair, that's right. That's what she's been watching these movies.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. Fair. Good point. Way to call me on my bullshit. Okay, so anyway, so now we cut
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm real good at retconning on the fly. Yeah.
I feel like, Star Wars did their good retcon where they're just like, hey, nothing's canon anymore. So
that was great. It felt real good.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Star Trek,
I feel like so bad.
I know, but Star Trek is like doing this weird thing where they're like, oh, no, this is also canon, except for this JJ thing's not canon. And then, like, it doesn't look like it's canon, but we'll make it fit in the end. And it's just like, yeah. The Klingons. Oh, my God, the Klingons in season 1. It doesn't make any sense.
Let's not get into the Klingons.
Anyway, it's a whole thing. We'll get into it at some point. So anyway, we cut a little bit further into the forward. He's in the mess hall, and he's just looking out like, hey, I wish I could get home and all this stuff. And she's like, what would you do if you were back at your home planet? And he's like, oh, I'd be sitting there enjoying like the ocean breeze or something like that. And so she starts to recreate it. So see, she makes it blue. She starts playing. He starts describing what the sounds were like, and she starts recreating essentially what that ambiance is. And then you see this here too. I wanted to point this out. Like, they have these pictures of other ships from Star Trek Discovery on the walls, which I find really interesting. So anyway, so she recreates this ambiance for him and all that. And he's like, so he mentions to her that, you're a good woman, always doing nice things for me. Has anybody ever done something nice for you?
Yeah.
It's interesting that he's referring to her as a woman because she's a computer.
Well, she's made it clear she thinks she's one.
She's at least presenting herself as female to him. So
but, I hate to do this, but
what?
I mean, I could creep it up. I mean, maybe she acted like a lady because he was a dude.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I kind of assumed.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I kind of assumed that's what was happening there. Anyway, but this is one thing that you wanted to include, and I kind of actually agree. Yeah. He's looking out the window and he sees a shooting star.
Yeah, I noticed that right away.
Tell me why that doesn't make sense.
Because the shooting star is like whenever a rock breaks up in the atmosphere, you see that streak. So
yeah, there's no atmosphere in the middle of space.
Mm-hmm.
So not sure where that shooting star came from. It's a good point. Again, another one of those things that slipped by the scientific advisors.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so he's saying, hey, has anybody ever done anything nice for you? And she says, no, why would anybody, I've been here by myself. What are you talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he decides that he's going to learn to dance. Now, again, and this will come back later too. Well, actually, it comes up right in the next slide too. So he starts learning how to dance, and he replicates this nice, fancy suit and all that stuff. How does he do all this without her knowing about it?
Oh, and she's a computer. She can partition whatever memory she wants. She can choose what she knows and doesn't know. So they just agreed to it before, whatever.
I know, but that's like to me, that's like trusting a kid to not open a Christmas present if you leave the box open in the closet.
Well, yeah, but you can tell he could tell the computer, you can reread the memory stuff you deleted or partitioned as soon as I gave you the present.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I still don't necessarily.
It's not difficult.
I still don't necessarily believe it.
Nah, whatever.
Like you tell your kids, hey,
it's not a kid, it's a robot.
You tell kids, hey, there's presents there's your Christmas presents are unwrapped in the closet. Don't look at them. See how that goes.
This is not equivalent to that.
I don't know. I feel like it's equivalent to that. And you say she's not a kid. Yes, she's a robot. She's a computer.
Yeah.
But she's a computer that doesn't have a lot of human interaction. So would she not be like?
No, she's seen all of human interactions that's ever been documented.
Okay. Yeah, you keep saying that. Keep telling it yourself. Here's the thing too. She's a computer. He'd have to tell her to replicate the suit. So who replicated the suit?
Yeah, and I'm saying he just says, hey, all the stuff, this is one of those things, put it in the thing.
Okay. Anyway. So he goes back to the bridge and he's wearing the nice suit and he asks her to play the hologram and all that stuff and play the music. She plays the music from the movie and she creates the hologram. And at first it's just Audrey Hepburn, right? And he's like, no, I want to see the real you. She's like, well, there is no real me. I'm just a computer. And he's like, but if you thought about yourself, what would it look like? And spoiler, it's white lady.
It's a pseudo Audrey Hepburn.
Pseudo Audrey Hepburn. Yeah. But anyway, wearing the same clothes, but
oh my god,
but looking
slightly
different.
She just had a beard.
I know, right?
Audrey Hepburn with a beard.
They could have been, for a show that everybody says is like so SJW. It's like, hey, computer, what would you imagine yourself looking like? She's like a pretty white lady.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Okay.
That's not fair because it's not because she idolizes that movie. She wants to look like Audrey Hepburn.
Okay,
it's fair.
Well, then she could have just said like, oh, I love this, so I picture myself as being Audrey Hepburn,
which is what she did.
Okay, but then she changed it
to basically Audrey Hepburn.
No.
Okay.
This woman looks different than Audrey Hepburn.
Okay, same hair color, just about the same height, probably.
No, it's just
strong
taller.
Chin.
Just taller.
Okay.
Just taller. And she doesn't have the signature eyebrows.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a whole thing. But so they start dancing, and then towards the end, computer hologram lady leans in for a kiss. And he starts to lean in for a kiss too, only to remember, oh shit, I have a wife and kids. And maybe I shouldn't be kissing computer ladies on the bridge of some ship. And so he pulls away. The program freezes, and he's like, we can't do this. And he starts to leave, and she's like, oh, you're not doing anything wrong. I'm not a real person. It's fine. He's like, hey, that's not true.
Yeah.
Basically saying like, hey, there's something here.
Yeah.
I can tell that you love me, and I kind of feel something for you too, but. Yeah.
I'm
married. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Nice guy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that joke I heard somebody tell. Oh, fuck, who was it? Anyway, the joke basically went, but like somebody was like, hey, I'm really scared. It was like in a sitcom or something. It's like, hey, I'm really scared about getting married. Like, I feel like she's the right one, but how do you ever really know for sure? He's like, well, you never really know for sure. And he was like, but he was like, well, how do I'm worried about this. I'm worried about this lifetime commitment. He's like, well, here's the thing. He was like, I have confidence that when the time is right and you find the woman who is perfect for you, you will be man enough to say, you know what? I'm married.
Okay.
Because see, his wife's not perfect for him.
Yes.
He met the perfect lady and he said, no, I'm married. Thanks for killing the joke. Anyway. So, and then here's the thing. Why did the hologram cry?
Oh, because she's sad. She's expressing herself.
I know. Look, I'm giving lots of criticism, but this really is the best episode.
Yeah.
And look, I'm saying all this stuff, but here's the thing. It's logical things. They're like logical inconsistencies if you think about it too hard. But if you just accept it as a nice story, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of saccharine, overly sentimental, but I think it really does hit. I really felt like, oh, like I feel for it. You mentioned it, right? It's like Wall-E.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, here's these two robots, except for in this case, one of them's a guy.
To be fair, that was pointed out to me by Red Letter Media.
Okay. Yeah. But basically, like in Wall-E, it's two robots, and you really feel it, right? And here, one of them's human, but the other one's robot, and you really feel it. Yeah. So this did a good job of that. So anyway, So we cut to he's sleeping in the transporter room. So she says, hey, I need you to go to, I think sick bay or something like that. Anyway, so she creates a new suit for him. She replicates a new suit for him, and she gives him the one warp capable shuttle. She says, hey, you need to go home. And you know what? If you love something, set it free. Right? That's the moral of the story. That's what they're trying to do here. And so he tells her, which is a really sweet line. He says, you reminded me what it's like to be human. And you can hear the computer's crying again, which again, computers don't cry, but it doesn't matter. It's a lovely moment.
And then she asks him,
she says, if we were lovers on my world, or she says, if we were lovers on your world, would you tell me your real name? And he says, if we were lovers on my world, you would give me my true name. And I thought that was a really interesting line.
Well, yeah. And then he gets in the ship and the doors close and it says.
So she says, I already gave you your name.
Yeah. And it says Funny Face.
It says Funny Face, which is the name of the woman in the movie.
Oh, right. Yeah. We didn't mention that. Yeah. Whenever they were watching the hologram of the old movie, right? He mentions that one of the characters has a funny face. And that's where that comes from, yeah.
No. The guy calls Audrey Hepburn Funny Face.
Yeah, that's what I meant. She calls one of the actresses.
And he was like, "Why is her name Funny Face?" She says, "Oh, that's not her name. That's her nickname, right?" So anyway, and then he shoots off in his shuttle, and then you can see the shuttle in the background there flying off to his planet, and she's playing the video on the bridge. Except for now, instead of that guy and Audrey Hepburn, it's him and her.
Very sweet.
Playing the music and dancing. And it's very nice. Mm-hmm. And then I feel bad because now she's all alone by herself again.
No, I like it. You know what I think why she's been there 1,000 years? I think that is perfect because we don't have spore technology.
Yeah, we quit using it. Yeah.
So they lost Discovery. I bet we find out that they lost Discovery. And now we know what happened.
Well, but she said the crew left.
Yeah, well, the crew will leave. I don't know. I'm saying like it would make sense. Somehow the crew gets separated from the ship. They don't know where it is now or something.
Yeah. It drifts into a nebula or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like we don't see it here, but I feel like he probably would have like alerted Federation. Like, hey, there's a ship drifting out here. Somebody go get it, right? So send a ship out there to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, but again, recap. I thought it was the best. I'd give it an A.
I'd recommend.
I would recommend.
I'd recommend.
This is definitely the best one of the four. And it was immediately followed by the worst one of the four.
Oh, The Brightest Star.
The Brightest Star.
I don't have a lot to say. I don't like it.
This episode is not good. And here's what sucks about it. This episode was the one I was looking forward to the most because this is a Saru episode. And I like Saru. And I like Doug Jones.
Yeah.
And I was interested because there was that whole concept of like, hey, these Kelpians, they're a prey species. I'm like, well, how does that work? How do you become warp capable as a prey species? And then is the predator species warp capable? It didn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe
right?
you're good at planning and you're fast, you know?
Yeah, and then you see all these different. We see in one episode he's super fast and he runs crazy fast and all that stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
so it gives you the impression that there's a predator that's super fast that hunts them.
Right.
But it turns out
none of that's true.
It's just a monolith.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's just like this big black monolith.
So this I was looking forward to because I wanted to know the backstory, and it turns out the backstory they created was horseshit. So anyway,
so there's a big black monolith. That's the predator that chases his species.
So we start on Saru's planet. There's fishing for seaweed or something like that, and all of a sudden this monument appears from the sky, and these people go and they get in a group and they stand in a circle and they stand in front of the monolith and then it beams them up.
Yep.
Or something. They disappear.
Yep.
Well, 3 of them.
He gets et.
Yeah. Well, they don't know what happens.
No, I guess I know.
I mean, we know what happened.
Which is stupid because, this is so stupid because I really do hate this episode because if you remember in the Mirror Universe, they eat them just like regular things. Like, they just eat them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So why didn't we just stick with it? Why does it have to be weird monolith?
Well, I mean, I was not assuming that this is, like, they're getting beamed directly into someone. I would assume, like, this thing comes down, it beams them into it, and then it takes them.
Oh, yeah, you were saying.
To somewhere where they're slaughtered or something like that.
It's like factory farming.
That's what I think. It's like factory farming.
That could make sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And well, because we'll get to it when we talk about the wrap up at the end of the episode. But anyway, so the monolith shines this white light, beams them all up. Then there's this guy who's like, let's be honest, he's a religious figure. That's what it's doing. And So anyway, they go through this ritual, and then the next thing you see is his dad comes back. Saru's dad comes back. He's the religious leader guy. He comes back and he's like, "Oh, here's this piece of technology that they left here," and apparently they're called the Buaul, something like that.
No, yeah, something like that.
Baul, I think. Baul or something like that. Anyway, doesn't matter. So Saru, they're sitting there eating dinner. Saru starts asking like, "Hey, what's beyond the skies?" And his dad says, "Oh, it's the watchful eye." And he's like, "Okay, are there other people out there?" And he's like,
"We're not supposed to know that."
He's like, "We're not supposed to know." And he goes like, "Well, could we go out there?" And then so apparently they have this thing called the Great Balance, which is where they sacrifice themselves to maintain the Great Balance. And Saru like doesn't want none of this. He's like, "No, I don't want to do this. I want to fly." And his dad's like, "Hey, if the Great Balance meant us have to fly, we would have had wings."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do the Buaul have wings?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, found a flaw in your logic, sir."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh, the Great Balance meant they didn't need to have wings." So it's a religious allegory.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is some bullshit you're peddling, right?
It's not a religious allegory. It's just a religion.
Touche. So anyway, so his dad tells him, "Hey, you got to get rid of this technology. It's a sin to have this." He doesn't say sin, but like it's forbidden to have this technology. So you got to get rid of it. Saru, of course, doesn't get rid of it. Instead, he starts to take it apart. Now, how this guy who doesn't have any technology knows how to take apart this warp-capable species technology and work on it, who knows? Also, apparently has some schematics for it. Where do those come from? Who knows? I don't know. Were they included with it? If they were included with it, why are they written in hand on parchment paper?
Yeah.
None of this makes sense. I have no idea what's happening here. No idea how he had these instructions. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's a MacGuffin. So he creates it. He figures out like, oh, this is a communication technology thing. I'm going to reconfigure this to talk to people. So he starts sending out things like waiting for somebody to respond to his technology, right? And then he gets a message, and it's in fucking English, which apparently he can read.
Yes.
So, and it says hello. He's like, "Oh my God, they said hello to me."
In the universal language.
In the universal language of English.
The Queen's English.
Yes. So anyway, so he's reading it, and he's like, you know, like, "Oh, finally somebody responded." And by the way, I'm going to point out in this picture, if we still have backlight bleed like this in 200 years, I'm going to be pissed. That is some bullshit. We better have better OLED technology by then.
Okay.
Look at that thing. It's freaking gray. It's supposed to be a black screen, and it's gray.
Okay.
Fix your backlight bleed. Future Star Trek. Anyway, so he gets this signal, hello, and he's thinking like, oh, okay. So apparently now he's just communicating with him, and he's communicating with humans, as we find out, right? So anyway, he sends out message. He keeps checking. More sacrifices take place. Then there's a scene where Saru's talking to his dad. He's like, "Hey, what happens if I'm taken before the next harvest happens?" And the dad says, "You should be honored to be eaten before the next harvest takes. It is your time," right? So Saru's like, "Well, that sucks.
That's dark.
Don't like that answer at all."
Yeah.
So anyway, he eventually gets another message, which he spends time. It looks like they spend a whole lot of time focusing on him writing, looking at the thing and writing. And I'm thinking, oh, he's translating it.
Yeah.
They gave him some kind of cipher that he could translate hello into, and then here we see no, he's literally just rewriting what it says in English.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Nothing in this episode makes sense. What the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I can understand them speaking English because you understand that they're probably, and in fact they reference it later on in the episode. You understand that they're probably not really speaking English, but for the sake of the show, they're speaking English. But then, like, why are they writing English? And then, of course, anyway, it's a whole.
I don't think it's worth focusing on, man. I gotta be real with you. I don't know why it gets your gears up. How would we read it?
It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. What is happening?
I'm allowing poetic license on that. It's fine. It's not the worst thing about this.
Why does he rewrite an English message into English? And why do they only get 6 letters?
I don't know.
The screen can display a whole message, and they just send today. What the fuck, guys?
I got nothing on it.
Dumb. It's dumb. Anyway, so apparently today's the day. Today's the day that he's going
home.
I don't know. He's doing something.
He's
right?
leaving.
So he walks out there. By the way, I took a picture of this. because he does a funky ass walk.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. He doesn't walk like that any other time.
He kind of. I think what they're doing is like, oh, he's kind of what's the word? He's adapting because if you watch him in Discovery, he kind of does it, but not much. But like here, he's like his arms are flailing fucking everywhere. Yeah. So it's dramatic, right? All right. So anyway, so he goes out there. He talks to his sister, and he's like, hey. She's following him and they're walking out there. And then she's like, hey, I'm kind of scared. Should we head back? And he's like, yeah, you should go back. He realized like this isn't her. She wouldn't want to do this. Yeah. So yeah, you should go back home. And then, so she says, hey, you should look down every now and then. There's beauty here too. There's beauty there too. Cause he keeps looking up at the sky. Mm-hmm. She's like, you should look down every once in a while. There's beauty there too. Oh, that's nice. Anyway, so he keeps walking. She goes home. He keeps walking out and a shuttle shows up. Right in fucking plain sight of everyone. Yep. We're not supposed to be contacting these species, but we're just going to fucking land a shuttle 15 feet from their village. Great. Good job. Really sticking to the prime directive.
Anybody listening to this and they don't understand what the prime directive is, you just ask Alexa. It's fine. She'll tell you right away.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was the first thing I asked her, actually, for some reason.
What's the prime directive?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah. Anyway. So the shuttle shows up and okay, he's looking up at it like, oh, hey, look, here's the shuttle. And who walks out of it? Oh, it's Giorgio. It's Captain Giorgio, which is like,
okay.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how I felt about that. It's like, okay, it's nice. I like Giorgio. I'm like, okay, it's nice. I don't like Mirror Giorgio, so fuck. But I like original Giorgio. And I was like, would the captain really come down here for this? Anyway, and then think about this is they make a whole point here to be like, oh no, he doesn't speak English because we're speaking through a translator. They do a whole thing.
And that makes more sense. The universal translator makes more sense to you than you having a universal translator on their iPad for symbols.
No, but the iPad said it was in English. The translator would be in his language.
To argue the point. I'm just not. I don't.
None of this makes any sense.
I don't care. I don't care about the hello. I love you, but I don't care about the hello.
None of this makes
okay.
None of this makes any sense.
But they have a translator. I take your point. It is true. Yes. I mean, one moment they're in English, and now we're doing the clicks.
Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Anyway, so he's doing a monologue. She says stuff like, "Hey, Starfleet made an exception to the Prime Directive just for you because you contacted us and we've never been contacted by a pre-warp species before. And, also we figured out that you stole this technology from the Bu'aul or something like that. And apparently we really like that, so we're coming for you." And then he's like, oh, can I bring anybody else back? Can I ever come home? She's like, no, we made an exception. You'll never be able to come back. There's too many rules and all this stuff. Apparently not too many rules to fly your shuttle right over their village, but there's too many rules for you to ever come back home.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So he's like, he sits there for a minute. Is he gonna go? And then he goes. Anyway, so they get in the shuttle. His ganglia out. He's thinking like, oh, am I gonna go? Whatever. Anyway, he goes. He looks at his village, and then he goes. And the next thing you know, the shuttle flies out of there. His sister's looking up.
Now this is egregious.
His sister's looking up and sees the shuttle and is like, oh, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, and then it goes to warp in front of her.
It goes to warp
in the atmosphere, no less.
What are we doing in this episode?
I know. Can you go to warp in the atmosphere? So they basically...
Apparently.
So it turns out there are no more Kelpians because they ignited their atmosphere.
Yeah.
By going to warp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand this episode at all.
No.
It's so disappointing. I give this... Okay, if we're...
Do not recommend.
Do not recommend.
Just skip this one. It's fine.
Episode is trash. It shits on what should have been a good story.
And the next one has Dwight.
For Saru. And look, here's the thing I'll say about this before we move on to the last episode. This thing, I'm disappointed in because it ruins Saru's story. But there's so much of it. Yeah, the translators and the languages and all that stuff to me. But from a fundamental level, if you think about it from a sci-fi perspective, why would a species advanced enough to have warp capability still be eating another sentient species?
Oh, it's a delicacy, probably.
But
maybe they taste.
You've moved beyond that.
They taste
great. Again.
Yeah, they could just clone the flesh. I know. Yeah.
Yes, I mean we already have the technology now to manufacture.
I think it's a sick burn.
Meat from stem cells.
It's a sick burn. They lost a war, and it's a sick burn.
Okay, but you have warp capability. You're supposed to be better than that.
Well, not the Klingons.
Well, not the Klingons. That's true.
Yeah, and so it's just that.
I guess these people are the Klingons.
Maybe they're like the
sector.
Rakatans from Star Wars.
I guess these people and to be fair, we did talk about this too, that it is like you said, I meant the comparison to factory farming, which is just like, hey, they eat the Kelpians and these buaul, the everyday buaul, the middle class, working class buaul.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about where the Kelpian comes from. They just eat
get
it.
Their ground Kelpian.
Yeah.
They make Kelpian chili.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's just one of those things like you feel like, I don't know. This is one of those things where I feel like the Federation.
I have a favor to ask of you,
might
Paul.
want to step in.
I have a favor to ask you, Paul.
What?
I would like to never think about this episode again and move on. I hate it. I don't even like thinking about it.
This episode's bad. But I hate the episode so bad. I have so much I want to say about it because there's so much wrong with it.
It's just not worth it.
It's so frustrating. And now I don't know how this is going to play because we've already seen in the trailers for season 2 that there's another Kelpian. So I guess they break the Prime Directive and go back. I don't know.
Which makes me think that we are going to figure out why the Discovery was stranded for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And I bet I make a claim. I'm calling my shot. Are you ready?
Okay.
I'm calling my shot. I call my shot that at some point the time travel episode and the crew gets separated from Discovery and the ship has to wait there for 1,000 years, but through some time travel nonsense, they end up with the 1,000-year-old ship with the old crew in the normal timeline, but now we have an AI on the ship. But it doesn't know anything about the future because it was stuck in the nebula. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get an AI. That AI is going to be a crew member.
You can't see me now. I didn't pass out. My mind's kind of blown right now. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I bet that's what happens.
That's actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. So you think that voice is going to be like the voice of the computer in the next season?
Not eventually. I bet. At
like
some
maybe
point.
like season 3 or 4 or something like that.
Or just like at mid season 2. I bet like an episode happens. Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Because if we see the Kelpians already in the second season trailer, then and we know, I mean, it makes sense.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the Federation save the Kelpians from these brutal shitlords, apparently, who are just eating Kelpians, beaming them up into their monolith and eating them. Mm-hmm. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Free the Kelpians.
Please let me out of this episode.
I mean, normally a pacifist,
have
but
mercy on me.
There's a time and a place to go to war, and that's it. You're eating people.
Yes,
you're eating people.
Yes.
Oh, and also, I just want to say last thing. I know you're frustrated.
Yeah, I'm not frustrated.
But we see him running fast in season 1, and you're like, oh, so we thought that there was a dynamic of like they're actually being hunted.
We talked about that.
Right, and it's like, oh, it must be that they developed it. They hunted them at one time, and now they don't, but they still have their evolutionary. Yeah, that's the one thing in this episode that makes sense.
They're like deer. You could factory farm deer. They'd still be pretty fast, probably.
Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway, so now we're on to the last short trek, which is called The Escape Artist, and this is all about Harry Mudd. I'll be honest, I wasn't like super excited about this because I didn't love Harry Mudd in season 1.
He grew on me.
Well, he did too. So I didn't like him in the first episode where they're on the Klingon ship, but by the time the second episode comes around, and where they kept going through the time loop on Discovery, that was a really good, really Trekky episode, and I thought Mudd did a great job in it. So, and to be fair, I have problems with this episode, but that we'll get to. But Mudd in this episode acts more like he did in that episode, in the second, the time loop episode.
Right.
So ultimately, something to look out for. So anyway, first thing we see is this Tellarite bro has Harry Mudd in chains, and he buys them from a bounty hunter.
You were mentioning when we were watching it that the Tellarite, he looks different.
Yeah, they look different. It's not Klingon different, but they're a little more graphic. Like if you go back, I never watched.
They look like Ugnaughts.
I'm gonna give a.
You know what Ugnaughts are? They're the pig people from Star Wars. He looks like that.
Oh, okay.
They're on Cloud City. They run Cloud City.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about now. Kind of. They don't have the prominent snout, but other than that, I see with the tusks and all that stuff. Anyway, but no,
they're orcs from Warcraft.
Yeah, the Tellarites are like, I'm gonna lay down something here that's gonna be like, it's probably gonna hurt my credibility. I've never watched the original series all the way through. It was before my time. I've tried to go back and watch it. I get like 5 episodes in.
I haven't either.
It's just a different time. It's a different style of storytelling.
I've seen the big episodes.
Yeah, I have to.
I've even seen that stupid one where he fights the lizard.
Well, that's the first episode.
The first episode of
or
the
second.
That's the second
First or second.
episode.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
early.
okay. Well, I haven't watched in order, obviously, but like I've seen the ones that are big.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm not sure if they showed Tellarites in the original series. The only way I remember them was from Enterprise, and they definitely look different than they looked in Enterprise. So they're a little more graphic, but they look closer to the Enterprise Tellarites than the Klingons did. So I'll say that much. Anyway, so he's this Tellarite is buying Harry Mudd from this bounty hunter, and anyway, so turns out the Tellarite says that he knows him, and says like, hey, you slept with my sister and you stole my family's sacred cudgel. And he's like, I gotta be honest, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'd be fair, I didn't know what a cudgel was either.
It's just like a blunt weapon thing. But anyway, he says to Mudd, hey, I know you slept with my sister, stole a sacred cudgel and all this stuff. And Mudd's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then it's revealed that the Federation has a bounty on his head for 30 counts of smuggling, 20 counts of attempted homicide, transportation of stolen good, and 1 count of attempted regicide.
And just remember, I'm pretty sure he was bought for $60K.
$60K?
The lady who showed up
to
sell him. So $40K profit, solid.
Yes, not bad. Yeah, because he says the Federation has a $100,000 bounty on his head.
So he's making a profit.
Yeah. So anyway, he says you're also 1 count of regicide, to which Mudd, I think, does a clever joke. Says, "Oh, it was a Duke. Can we really count?"
Yeah.
And then also apparently 1 count of penetrating a space whale.
Yeah.
And Mudd says you kind of had to be there.
It's cute.
Again, kind of a funny joke. But yeah, my first thing here is, okay, the Federation has a $100,000 bounty on his head. Does it feel like the Federation puts bounties on people's head?
Yes, it does to me.
It doesn't feel right to me.
I don't know. There's a point where he talks about resistance that it might come up on that topic in a minute.
Yes. He does talk. Well, but then he's making it anyway. We'll get to it. He's making it up. So anyway, so he's like, hey, Mudd says, hey, I assure you, I've never been in a situation like this before. All these charges are made up, except, it turns out he has been in a situation before. So it immediately cuts to he's having the exact same conversation with a Klingon and on some Klingon ship, right? And
was it a Klingon? I thought it was just like a weird guy. I thought it was a different.
No, that's a Klingon.
That is a Klingon.
That's a Klingon. Oh. Again, the Klingons look fucking weird.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm excited about season 2 because they look better in it. Anyway, so then the Klingon kicks him in the face, and then we're back to the Tellarite ship. That was just a cutaway.
Yep.
It's not a thing it's just like, it's a thing that happened in the past. Like, this is a joke. Haha. I've never been in a situation before, except he has. Anyway, so we come back. We're on the ship. The Tellarite said, I'm going to take you. I'm going to drop you off to this Federation ship. Goes to warp. And he's like, hey, I guarantee you, like, none of this is true. This is all scuttlebutt and hogwash. And then clearly that's not working. So he's trying to con the guy.
And he goes, oh, now that I think about it, I'm getting a faint memory percolating in the
Yeah. He's like, I do remember your sister.
And then he mentions that
it was the what did he call it? The forbidden tryst.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he says, I remember the cudgel, and I sold your cudgel too.
Yeah.
I took it as a memento of a forbidden love, and then I sold it. And he's like, you sold the cudgel? And that's when he says apparently he sold the cudgel because the resistance is low in capital. And this is where he mentioned that there's a resistance against the Federation, apparently.
Yeah.
And he's like, why would there be a resistance against the Federation? He was like, because everybody thinks the Federation is a bunch of do-gooders, but they're out there trying to get total hegemonic supremacy.
Yeah. Hey, it made me think, when does the Maquis happen?
Well, that's in the DS9 era.
Yeah, but we don't know that it hasn't been going on for centuries.
No, it was very specifically created in response to the Bajoran. They were opposed to the Cardassians because of the occupation.
And the Federation didn't intervene, and that's why. Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't realize
that. They felt like the Federation wasn't doing the right thing. They weren't being forceful enough with the Cardassians.
Forgive me, Trek fans.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Maquis was a very specific ththing. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, so he's back. Now he's trying to woo him. He's trying to con him. So he's like, hey, I was part of the resistance and low in capital, and hey, we should pull together. You don't want a total hegemonic Federation, do you? And so it's like, we should work together and pull resources. And the Tellarite's like, he's getting into it. He's like, and Mudd's thinking, I'm getting him. And then Tellarite goes, has that line ever worked on anyone? Mm-hmm. And then we cut to him using that exact same line on this other alien,
and it works.
So he's been through the situation. Not really.
No. It implies at the end of it, he says, "Oh, you were smarter than her, anyways," or something.
Yeah.
So it does imply that it did work eventually. And she does as that scene goes on with that lady. Like she kind of she gets more and more warmed up to the idea. She even stops for a minute. She talks to him about it, and she gets more and more into it.
Yeah. Anyway, this whole scene's him trying to woo this lady who's apparently taken him into custody. And he's like, "Oh, we should we should work together to create a coalition against the Federation." Then there's the whole thing. She's lost. She can't find her ship. He's like, "Oh, maybe it's because you're too short."
I thought she was cute. I thought she was cute.
Yeah, and then he's like, he starts trying to hit on her. He's like, "Oh, are you spoken for romantically?" I took this screenshot because I don't know if you noticed these little bug aliens down there.
No,
they're like friggin' spiders or something.
Gross.
They were kind of interesting. Anyway, go back and watch the scene in full speed. That's one of the reasons to watch this episode because they're weird. They're weird looking. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. So then they go back to the Tellarite ship, and he's like, "Oh, I went too far." So he's like, "Yeah." They go back to the Tellarite ship, and he tells the Tellarite like, "Hey, yeah, she was too emotional, and you're better," or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. I found that kind of. Oh, the woman's too emotional.
Well, that's fine. He's not the good guy. It's whatever.
yeah, to be fair. Okay, so anyway, so then he's talking to the Tellarite again, and so I think one of the things that I found interesting was he's telling the Tellarite saying like, "Hey, I bet you have all this money stored up," something like that, and he says, "No, all my money was taken by the Federation taxman."
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Federation doesn't have money.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I think he means that it was, I don't know what you call it when you take someone's property because it was ill-gotten.
Oh, well, I mean, there's confiscation.
Confiscated. Yeah, it was confiscated as evidence.
Or okay, but that's not the tax man.
I know, he's lying.
The Federation tax man threw me for a loop. But okay, to be
fair, I noticed it when he said it.
To be fair though, we do know that there's money in the universe. Obviously, we saw in like DS9 they had the Latinum and all that stuff. Yeah. So maybe they do have a tax system for external currency, or something like that. So maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't barter.
But we've never seen it before.
They couldn't possibly. There must be some market with other species.
Yeah. And just the Federation internally doesn't have. Yeah. Okay. So maybe I've just never heard that before. Mm-hmm. So it's just weird.
I haven't either.
So anyway. So the next thing we go, now this is another thing where this happened to him in the past where he was on Orion, also trying to convince this Orion guy that they can be rich. And he says a good joke here. I think it's funny. He says, "Your enemies will be positively green with envy." Mm-hmm. And of course, they're Orions, so they're green. Yeah. So he's like, they'd be greener. Anyway, so he's trying to convince him, and this Orion guard's like, oh, he's buying it. He's like, oh, maybe we could be rich. I would like to be rich. And then another Orion guard comes walking in, and she's like, "Hey, buddy, we have a camera in this place, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I nearly had him tricked into thinking that I wanted his money." It's like, yeah, no, you're stupid. And so she tells him to leave. And then, of course, the next thing, you got this rather attractive Orion guard. So Mud starts hitting on her. And
all the Orions are attractive. That's a thing.
Yes, that is the thing. Yes, all the Orions are attractive, at least that we've always seen.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mud starts trying to hit on her. And she's having none of it. And so she throws this little ball on him that shocks him. And he's just shocked.
Directly onto his heart.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Super safe.
So then we're back on the Tellarite ship. We're back in the current time. And, they've made it to the Starfleet ship. Made it there really fast. Got to be honest. Mm-hmm. Made it there awfully quick. But nonetheless, we see this ship that is interesting. It kind of looks like Discovery. It looks like they took Discovery and just made it shorter.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it looks like it has the same split saucer section with the two different sides. It's just, the nacelles aren't as long. And for some reason, red. I don't understand. Like, what's with all the red on this ship? Mm-hmm. I don't know. But either way, I'd like to see that ship more up close. I'm a ship nerd.
He's a ship guy.
So I'd like to see more about that ship. But, because it looks cool from afar. But anyway, so at this point, Harry Mudd starts begging for his life. And he's like, "Oh, promise I'll do anything for you. I'll clean your bathrooms. I'll shave your little whiskers, and I'll rub your, what do they call them? The tusks. Yeah.
It gets sorted. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but of course they beam over. So they beam over to the ship, and they're on this ship that the transporter room looks just like Discovery's. So yay, saving costs. So, and this guy goes like, oh, you have Harry Mudd. So they go walking down. Oh, I want to point this out too. There's another woman with one of those helmet things.
Boo.
Like, very clearly, they're obviously not androids because we know that
Guy
there are no
droids.
androids.
Guy droid.
What?
A lady android is a guy droid, like gynecology. Yes.
I honestly did not know android was gendered.
It is. It means like a man. Guy droid means like a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 1,000% of this.
So we need a Zadroid.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Android have a gender?
It does. It does. Androgynous.
Okay, so then Android.
Androgynous means to look like a man.
No, androgynous is in between.
You're wrong. Google it.
I'm not wrong.
You are wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Because
everybody describes David Bowie as androgynous.
I don't think that's the right word for it. I think there's a G word for it that's more appropriate.
No.
I'm telling you, guy droid is for lady droids. Slap bet.
Okay.
Slap bet.
I'm not doing a slap bet with you. Not again. So anyway, I just want to point it out. There's another person walking around with this helmet. I don't know. I'm interested to see if we ever hear anything about it. Anyway, so they go on, and this, the captain's sitting here talking to him. Is like, hey, you're like the 6th person we've gotten this week. And oh, look, there's a whole bunch of other Harry Mudds. Turns out, this is an android.
No. I need to stop it right here. This is my big pet peeve. Because they on the way to the cell or the room where they have all the Harry Mudd androids.
Right.
He's explaining what's happened, right? And I actually, I don't know why, but the first time I saw this, I wasn't paying attention to that. And then they open the door and you see a bunch of Harry Mudds, and I go, oh, cool, it's a bunch of androids of him.
Right.
And then the guy looks over. No. Then the Tellarite looks over at Harry Mudd and like looks at him funny, and then pulls his arm off, and you're like, oh, he's an android too. Yeah. It's all a thing to sell to get the bounty money, or to get the to make money.
Right.
But then I watched this a second time for this, and I paid more attention, and the captain explains what Harry Mudd is doing, his plot, before he shows them all the androids.
Yeah.
I didn't need to hear that before I saw it. You could have just showed it, and then the audience realizes, it was all robots. But he explained that is lame.
Yeah.
I do not like.
No, I totally.
That's all I have to say about it. I don't like that part.
Totally.
It really ruins it, because that was a really good moment, because I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
But then they told me they spoiled the ending.
Yeah.
They spoiled their own
right
show.
before the ending.
Yeah. It's like, imagine if the last episode of Star Trek, they go, hey, Spock's going to be, or sorry, the 3rd episode of the first season. Eventually Spock's going to show up. I don't know. Or they just spoil something. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird. It was a little oddly written there.
Yeah.
Anyway, last thing I want to say, a couple things I missed. The ship is called the DeMilo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I thought it was the Tomato.
No, I thought it said DeMilo.
I thought it said Tomato. I'm probably wrong.
It's something like that. It was kind of hard to tell. Oh, and the Tellarite was called Tevrin Crit. So for whatever that's worth, in case you were wondering that trivia.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, then we cut to this ship. Also an interesting looking ship.
Yeah. It's got, so, is it having the cells?
Well, it looks like it has Starfleet style in the cells, and could it just be a shit ton of them?
Could just be hodgepodge. Could just be
It looks like it, because you see the rear nacelles there look like the Discovery style, where they have the blue Bassard collectors, and then the front ones have the red ones, and they look more like the Enterprise style.
Mm-hmm.
So, but why are there so many?
I don't know. Maybe it's much bigger than we realize.
Well, but you only need 2 to create a warp bubble. And then you get a whole thing of why do the dreadnoughts have 3, and then the warp nacelles actually generate power, and they power the weapons and all that stuff. It was a whole thing.
Could be. Maybe he has.
Maybe he has a bunch of weapons and shields.
No, maybe he needs the power because he has a Android factory on board.
Oh yeah, and he needs to charge them all up and everything like that. Anyway, so this ship does look like it's pieced together with a lot of different things.
Of course, you don't need factories if you have replicators.
Well, okay, but you got to figure he's an outlaw. He might not have access to replicators.
Oh, is that like a thing?
Well, I mean,
I don't
Federation's not going to give him one.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, fair enough.
I figure you think that he'd probably be able to buy one,
sure,
or something like that. In fact, actually, in the next scene, we might see him with one, because then we can cut to inside the ship, and okay, why do we have all these analog gauges?
I like it.
But you're right.
I like this.
It's a mood, and I think you're right. This does look like it's kind of pieced together from a bunch of different stuff that he stole or acquired over time. So.
Yeah.
So I do think that's interesting. So anyway.
Oh, I did. Oh, I just want to be fair to this episode. I loved I'd be sipping jippers on a beach somewhere. Yeah. I love that. Right. So he says so the superficialness, the shallowness of the androids programming is displayed when he starts repeating like some jokes, and in the room with all the androids, they all hear it and they all start repeating it, and it's like they're like, I'll be sipping on a beach somewhere, sippers on a beach somewhere. That's really funny. I like that a lot.
Yes. Well, and then that ties in because then we cut to this scene, and the actual Harry Mudd is asking for tippers.
For the record, he calls him mom, like British, like mom.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Yeah, he's got boobs. He's got a boob plate.
But I think he was calling him Mudd. Because obviously he knows it's mud. So anyway,
maybe.
So that cuts to, you see this bounty hunter who sold mud in the beginning, sitting there, and all these android muds going around. Except, oh wait, that's actually mud itself.
Yeah.
So the android had to know.
Maybe they're programmed to whenever he's in the outfit to call him
ma'am.
Not call him Mud.
To call him ma'am.
Yeah. So that he doesn't get away.
Keep the cover.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good call. Man, you're blowing holes in all my bullshit.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm a big Star Trek guy, and if you're gonna be super into Star Trek canon, you have to be okay to retcon on the fly.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely true.
Let me do one real quick. You know how there's sound in Star Wars?
Okay.
You know why I think there's sound in Star Wars, and that's okay?
Why is that?
Because maybe they trap a bunch of atmosphere when they're at dock at a planet, and then it's trapped. Like like with the shields around, they put the shields up and it takes some air with them, or there's exhaust air or whatever. Like they put out the carbon dioxide and just into the outside the ship, and the shields keep it in, and so there's sound. I don't know. That's my best. It's my best why there's sound in Star Wars.
Do they have shields in Star Wars?
Yes.
They never mention it, and it never looks like it.
Not true. I think in the Last Jedi, they talk about that you can see them shooting the shields of the ship.
Oh, well, I don't think they ever mentioned it before then.
Whenever Leia's floating, right, and you can still see it, boom, boom. Oh, and the shields from the Gungans, and yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I do remember those, but those were like different, and you could see.
And there's a shield generator on the Death Star. That's the whole conceit of the Endor mission.
Right. But that's my point. You can see all of those. You can't see one around like the X-wings or the TIE fighters.
No, you can't see the one around the Death Star.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a hologram showing it, but you never see it. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, anyway, so welcome to our Star Trek podcast.
Sorry.
Jason's a big Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan, obviously, but anyway, so yeah, back to this. Surprise, it's Harry Mudd, and then he gets a incoming transmission. All the other android muds shut themselves off, and yeah. So then basically he takes transmission. He's going to sell another android.
Yeah.
And collect the bounty on it.
I would recommend.
This is a decent episode.
Solid episode.
I'd give it a C+.
I thoroughly enjoyed watching every bit of it.
There were good jokes in it. And I like the ship. I want to know more about that ship.
I mean, this wasn't like a budget shitty thing either. I mean, this was a solid. They had
solid jokes.
I mean, they must have made the Orion prison. They made that, I guess. Yeah. Like they made the ship, they made the cell. I mean, this is a solid episode. I liked it.
Solid episode. Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, ranking them best to worst. Best Calypso.
You know, I love Tilly. If I had to watch one over again, it would be the Tilly episode. Makes me feel good. I would watch the Tilly episode, then the Calypso episode, then the Mud episode, and then never again watch the.
I would agree. I would put Calypso and Runaway. So the Tilly episode, I would put them 1 and 2. No. I'd probably put Calypso above. I think it told a very Trek story.
Yep.
And I would actually like to see a concept like that pulled out into a full hour-long episode. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like the Tilly story. Like I could see them doing an episode of Trek, like the Next Generation that had that kind of storyline.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the episodes that once you stretch it out to an hour, it would feel like it drug. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think Calypso is a little bit better, but I tend to like the Saccharin stuff. But you're right. I love Tilly, and that was a great episode too. Mm-hmm. Those are definitely the 2 I recommend. Those are easily 1 and 2. And then, yeah, like the Brightest Star Saru episode, that's awful. Mm. They shouldn't have made it. I hate that they made it.
Yeah.
I want them to undo it.
Unmake it.
Unmake it.
All right.
You're fucking canon anyway. Just take it away. So anyway, so that's the Star Trek short Trek episodes. Next week, next Thursday,
Yes.
we get season 2 of Discovery. It's back. What are you expecting?
Ooh. Oh.
What are you expecting? What are you hoping for?
Oh man, I'm not ready for this. I wish I had thought of this.
I told you.
I know. I wish I had. You go first. What are you hoping for? What are you expecting?
Well, the first thing, we've seen a lot from the trailers, and we see some of the stuff that they're gonna apparently try to retcon. The Klingons. I'm looking forward to the Klingons not being as shitty as they were in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen in season 2, they have the regular D7 cruiser, so not one of these bullshit ships that they created for season 1. So I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
They're speaking. The speaking Klingon didn't bother me as much as it did a lot of other people, but I would like to see them do less of it. They have hair again.
Okay, I have something I hope for. You ready?
Well, okay. You just said you wanted me to go first.
Well, I know I was listening because I was thinking of mine.
Okay, well then let me finish.
Okay, carry on.
So I'm looking forward to seeing them fix the Klingons, because I don't mind, like, people hate all the stuff they changed about Discovery and like, oh, the ships don't look right. I love the ships. I'm glad they did all that stuff. I don't mind that the Tellarites look slightly different or the Andorians and that stuff. None of that stuff bothers me. I don't even mind that Michael turns out is like the half sister of Spock, and we never knew about that because, like, hey, we didn't know for a long time that he had a half brother either.
Yeah.
Until Star Trek V.
Yeah.
So, like, apparently this guy just takes in refugees and doesn't tell anybody.
Sure.
Spock never, and hey, if you're a logical species and not very emotional, why would you talk about your siblings, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, so Spock just doesn't mention it. I'd be interested to see if we find out one day, like, oh, it turns out, like, Sarek just kept taking in people.
Yeah.
He has like 40 step siblings out there.
Yeah, maybe.
Adopted siblings.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. So anyway.
What would be really neat is if, like...
But the Klingons bothered me.
Yeah.
The Klingons were so bad.
They didn't bother me. They didn't bother me at all.
And then they say the bird of prey, and it's not a bird of prey. It doesn't look like the bird of prey that we saw in Enterprise. Doesn't like the bird of prey.
Let's not just down season 1 because we could both pick things we hate.
No.
Yeah.
Because overall, I like season 1.
Sure. Yeah, big fan.
I wasn't a big fan of the Mirror Universe. I never liked Mirror Universe stuff, and so I definitely didn't like that Laura ended up being Mirror Universe. But whatever, it's the whole thing. I would say I'm really looking forward to Pike. His character looks good.
It does.
I'm excited to see it. He looks like a Starfleet captain.
Strong Anglo-Saxon man. I'm for it. No, I'm kidding. But like, I mean,
no, it's touche.
But he was already defined that way, so whatever.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
It's canon, and this is in the universe. It's, whatever. It's fine that he's a white guy. We don't hate white men.
We hope
white
you're
men.
happy.
We are white men ourselves. We don't hate white men.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. Pike looks like a Starfleet captain.
Solid, yeah. He looks optimistic.
Yeah, he looks optimistic, positive. He makes jokes. I like that we're seeing, it looks like they're going to bring back some humor. So I'm excited to see that. They did the teaser trailer ended with that joke about the dude sneezing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see some humor. I also like that we're seeing more external shots of the ship and kind of flybys. Because you remember that was a whole big thing with TNG. Like every episode just opened with the ship flying by.
Yeah.
And we hardly ever got that in season 1.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to more of that in season 2. And some kind of lightheartedness. It's not going to be like TNG. Anybody expecting this to be like TNG and like, oh, here's the moral story of the week. Mm-hmm. That's not what you're going to get. That's just not what television in 2018 can be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that it can be. I just think that they're doing it wrong.
Well, I mean,
I think they're just doing it wrong.
Because even Orville, which is what a lot of people are like, oh, that's the actual TNG successor.
Yeah.
And it does that. It kind of does a moral story of the week. But even it has overarching storylines that weren't even very common in TNG.
It's not a problem with me that there's an overarch. That I like that there's a serial.
Oh, I do too. I'm just, a lot of people don't.
Oh, I don't like that it's kind of actiony. I don't know with that. I think it's way too. It's not enough. It's not cerebral enough for me. I got to be real compared to the TNG.
Do what?
It's not cerebral enough. It's not like it's got a lot of action in it. Every episode has like a lot of boom. And that's not what it's about. I'd rather they spend more money on cool concepts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
Well, I wish they would spend some of the money that they use, like creating, the battles.
We're not here to down season 1. Let's
see
what
no.
season 2 does.
But I hope they take some of the money that they used to do battles and stuff. Like, now that there's not a war going on, that we can see more flybys of ships and cool little text. So I'm excited about that.
I would like to say something. I'm going to get real deep Trek lore for a second.
Okay.
I hope that this Red Angel thing, where all the life is going to die in the galaxy or whatever they were talking about.
Right.
I hope it's. I mean, There's a Star Trek novel where something similar is happening, and it looks like everybody in the galaxy is going to get eaten up by all these black holes or something.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's this ancient
these red spots or whatever they call them.
Well, but in this story, it's that there's this ancient AI that doesn't know what to do with itself, so it's making art with galaxies to let other species know that there's life out there or something. Right, because you could see it. There's no way you could build. This could be a natural formation. So he's making all the galaxies to get all the energy. He's making stuff. He's making art, and he's killing people. It's just like, yeah, but you're all gonna die anyways. Because
wait, what?
No, there's a Star Trek. That's a lot. You want it again?
Yeah. Sorry, I lost track of it there.
Okay.
All right, no, let's just get it because it'll be too much.
Yeah.
So, anyway, okay. Then I'll just leave.
I have this. I bet it's art.
Okay.
I bet the reason that everybody's getting killed by the Red Angel is that it's a super intelligent race, and they're making art with like stellar art.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter to them that people are dying.
Well,
I don't know.
It seems like it's a thing that goes through time, because you can also see in one of the trailers, you see like, oh, this Red Angel appeared, and it looks like 20th century or 21st century.
Oh yeah.
U.S. soldiers.
Oh wow.
And it was like, shaking cam, like and like one of those things like, oh, we never did explain, and now it's coming, So I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I'm kind of intrigued to see what they're gonna do with that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is I'm not excited about what they're gonna do with Georgia. I love the original Prime universe Georgia. I didn't like the Mirror universe Georgia. She was too cartoon villain for me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look like it's going to change in season 2. And apparently, like, Section 31 is just like a thing that everybody knows about now. So that's weird.
Yeah.
But people have also been, oh, Section 31 was supposed to be secret. No one's supposed to know about it. I'm like, dude, fucking everybody on Enterprise and DS9 knew about it.
Yeah.
So like, this isn't exactly unprecedented, but still, it does feel a little weird that like she just shows the badge and they're like, oh, Section 31. How about that? Special ops. And it's like, that's not quite what it was.
Well, okay,
it was a little more secret than that.
No. If you remember from JJ, Pike was like part of the High Command or whatever.
Right. Well, that's JJ verse. That's not Prime.
I know, but presumably Pike is still cool. He's like a big deal still. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. There's not a lot of stuff in Prime canon about him.
And just remember, Lorca.
Because technically speaking, even the episode, The Cage, is not technically canon because it never aired on TV. It's on Netflix and all that stuff, and they remastered it, but. Technically. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
And remember, Lorca was himself like personally chosen to lead the war against the Klingons. He was given permission to fight the war however he saw fit or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes him. I don't know. It's weird that he's still just a captain, but whatevs.
Who, Pike?
No, Lorca.
Oh, Lorca.
There's multiple occasions they bring up that he's like kind of been given permission to run things in the war or something.
Yeah.
But then he's not. I don't understand. I didn't understand that. It doesn't matter.
Anyway. All right. So now you've thought about it. What are your thoughts and expectations for season 2?
Oh, I expect that it's the art. The Red Angel's art. I think that Spock's going to be cool. Spock's always cool.
Spock's always cool.
I like space elves. Big fan.
What?
Vulcans. I like space elves. I did. What do I hope for? I hope that there's not all that. I don't have to do any more of that guy that used to be a Klingon, who's actually a guy.
Oh, he's gonna be in it a lot.
I hope not. I did not like. He was my least favorite part. I hope we minimize that.
He's gonna be in a lot.
I hope he dies.
They're gonna bring back the love story.
Ugh, I hope he dies.
That's I'm betting he's a bridge. He's the bridge between humans and Klingons, and he's the smooth heads come from him. I'm betting that's how they tie this into, because in Star Trek and TOS they were the smooth heads and the
yeah. But didn't Enterprise do something about it? Like it was a disease?
Yeah, Enterprise said it came from they were doing genetic engineering and it went wrong and
okay, well,
this is what happened because they were using, remember, the human genetically engineered from the early, what's his name, Soon, like it's like Soon's grandfather.
Oh yeah.
And like he created these genetic engineers, and the Klingons got hold of them, and they tried using it, but then it spliced the human DNA with the Klingon, and it made the smooth heads and all that stuff. But then they eventually fixed it, and yeah, it was a whole thing. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. I think it. I like season 1. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna down it too much. But I had problems with it, and one of them was that I felt like it wasn't positive enough, and I think a lot of that came from Lorca. And so I'm excited to see what happens with a captain that's more positive. In fact, the guy that plays Pike, I can't find it now, but he came out. I saw recently that he was doing an interview and saying, hey, Lorca had this interesting idea where it was like, what happens if a, Starfleet captain isn't what you think of and all that stuff. And I felt like they ruined it by then making a mirror universe.
Yep.
But I think, the guy who plays Pike, he's saying like, hey, Pike is like, he's a Starfleet guy. He believes in Starfleet ideals. So we're, in season 2, we're really going to make an effort to bring the positivity back and bring this, the war's over. We're going to bring this utopian vision, the gay communist future, as I've seen it described.
Yeah.
That is Star Trek. We're going to bring that to fruition. So I hope we see a little more of that, a little more ships, a little more techie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also interested to see, by the way, Colburn's coming back. Don't know how that's going to happen.
Who?
The Doctor.
Oh, wow.
The Doctor that, what's his name? The guy you don't like.
Yeah.
Ash, that he murdered in season 1.
Yeah.
Stamets' partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
He's coming back. He's in season 2, but they haven't explained how.
Whatever. Anywho. So
anyway, so next week we will start Star Trek Discovery. I don't know what time.
Yeah, we don't know what time it comes on.
Because we don't know what time it comes on.
Yeah.
CBS still hasn't announced when it's airing. So they're cutting it down to the wire. But
it'll be the evening of.
But the evening of, we're going to sit here and we're going to give our quick reactions to it, maybe an overview and do the same kind of thing and give our review of it. And we'll be doing it every week that Star Trek Discovery has an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to check that out, follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/don'tcallmepretentious, and go over and subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/don'tcallmepretentious. Follow us on the social media, facebook.com/don'tcallmepretentious, and twitter.com/@DCMPretentious. So until next time,
we love you. Love.
engage. Bye.